do we take Gemini notes in those meetings?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. Gemini is active as well. Hi everyone. We are at the Konflux weekly community meeting. We have low attendance today because of the holiday, Thanksgiving, but important topics on the agenda. Not because I brought the topic, but because of what going to because of its content. If anyone wants to add something like last minute topics to the agenda, feel free. So I wanted to discuss about an idea that I had today in Konflux. We have to distinguish between core services and add-ons. Core services are, for example, build, integration, release, Forma, UI, and of course, Tecton, which is core / dependency of ours. This is like the minimal amount of services you need to get something that we can call Konflux, to get something functional. On top of those, or in addition to those, we have services that are add-ons. Those are services that can extend the functionality of Konflux, but you won't get them by default. For example, Mint Maker, multi-platform controller, image controller, and there are more. My proposal is to take add-ons and to separate them into two categories: official and non-official add-ons. The reason is that, and I'm explaining the reasons over here. So why do we need add-ons? We want to support gradual adoption. We want it means that, let's say that I want to use Konflux, but I'm not sure that I need everything. Okay, so let's say today I already have a process that updates my dependencies. For example, I'm using Renovate Managed Service or Dependabot or Sneak or whatever. There are many options, but I do want to use Konflux. So in this way, I can use Konflux without Renovate, right? So it covers like both gradual adoption and integration with existing solution, and also for providing the community ways to extend Konflux, even though it's not like documented officially today, but we can look at each add-on. Like each add-on can cover like an extension point, like something that the system, like an area in the system that can be extended, and there are many or different ways to extend different areas of the system. So it can bring the ability to the community to innovate and to try out new things, and being agile with innovation. Now, why to distinguish between official and non-official add-ons? Why do we need this? Because I do believe that to get a solid experience, or maybe like a functional experience from Konflux, you would need some of those add-ons. And then it means that you would want to get some guarantees about them. For example, how they were built. Like we are a secure build system, means that everything that is part of our everything which is part of Konflux should build securely by Konflux, and it applies to add-ons as well. And if anyone can develop an add-on, we cannot like enforce how add-ons are being developed, right? But for official add-ons, we can say like if it's an official add-on, it is built by Konflux hermetically. If it's not an official add-on, maybe built like this and maybe not, but at least you get a guarantee. Another thing is governance. We have a process about making architecture changes, about changes in APIs, changes that require permission. So like we need to do something that changes security or permissions or things like that, there is a process, an ADR process that people should follow in order to get an alignment and to make sure that we are taking, like wise decisions for the good of the project. So those official add-ons, and this is like a major change, those official add-ons would be required to go through this governance process. The bottom line is to provide more confidence to the end user and to ensure better integration between add-ons and core services. Unofficial add-ons, the code can be, and also an official add-on, like the code, anything which an official add-on must be exist on the Konflux CI organization, because this is like where we can also do other kinds of enforcements if we need to. About unofficial add-ons, code can be anywhere. ADR process, there can be an ADR process or any other process, but not something that belongs to our community. Like there might be like another community that wants to develop add-ons and they will have their own process, and this is fine. And the build process, even though we recommended to build using Konflux, build hermetically, provide SBOMs, all of that, we cannot enforce it, right? It's just a recommendation. Yeah, I wanted to gather some to get thoughts, answer questions if anyone have. Good idea, bad idea. Yes, hello.
So I maybe I want to also clarify what Andrew was meaning and the key GC was asking about. In general, like we think it's a good idea. The one thing we are unsure was and maybe we are splitting hairs here, is like if the official and unofficial are good names for it. If maybe there should be more like Konflux add-ons and community add-ons or some like different name, just so official and unofficial has slight connotations to it, same way as experimental and like however we call these groups has sort of connotations that we should take into account. But the other thing was that what you describe as official add-on, then it also probably should mean that we change our approach to how, like for example, if we enable repositories to be created in Konflux CI group or not, because right now theoretically, like you have a lot of add-ons there that are experimental in nature, and we do not recommend them necessarily to be used right away. But based on what is described here, like people can use them as like official. They can think that they're official add-ons. Like maybe it's a good idea to have some sort of like differentiation between these add-ons we believe are like almost core functionality. And if you want to run Konflux cluster in any like more production ready way, you should install these add-ons. That's, for example, which I agree that probably it's a good idea to tell users like you should install WinMaker and you should use Tectweb Archive or Tecton Results or something. And then you have all of these other plugins which, okay, we recognize that they exist, but no assurances what will happen with what is happening with them. Like which would I agree, but then there was also a comment from I believe it was Ralph, and he asked like, okay, do we even want to have like several groups of add-ons if we don't want to just have a list of add-ons that we know about, and maybe just say that we highly recommend installing these ones, like do not like specify any sort of grouping that there is official and unofficial, and handle and just accept that maybe some of the add-ons we as a Konflux group are maintaining, and because we are maintaining them, they have certain added like requirements to them because we as a Konflux group is maintaining them. So that was like reasoning and ideas that were expressed by like Andrew or like were discussed in the group. Me in general, like I'm unsure if the grouping needs to be there, but I also agree that it's probably a good idea to tell users like, okay, these add-ons we highly recommend. Maybe that these add-ons we as a group maintain, so you have certain assurances. I think there is no harm in saying that and maybe like providing that sort of assurances. Like, for example, for MinMaker, like it's so important for actual Konflux experience. Maybe there is no harm in saying that we maintain this, we will have these assurances. We highly recommend it.
So if let me see that I get it right, you're saying that we have repositories in Konflux CI organization that are experimental, so we don't want users to think that only because they are there, they are official, right? This is one thing.
Yes.
Okay. So this is one thing I got. And what was the other thing?
That like maybe official and unofficial is not the best
The
naming.
terminology.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, like we talked about several possible names, and all of them have certain advantages and disadvantages. Because like if I understand your proposal right, you also want to like make sure that whatever name we use sort of sets the right expectation for the user when they are like reading it.
Yeah.
So that was another point. A point from Ralph was that if we want to do this kind of grouping at all, like maybe we will just say that these are the ones that we highly recommend for you to install, and we do not necessarily care about this like code location, build process, and governance. That's also a debate maybe to have. And I think this is about it.
Okay, I see. Like the reason I chose like to use the term official and unofficial is because I saw it being used on other communities that supports plugin architecture extension points. This is what I saw in the past that other communities are using to describe extensions / plugins that are developed by the same set of people and under the same governance of the core project. I don't mind choose another name, but again, as you said, there are advantages and disadvantages. If there are any good proposals, I would be happy to hear about them. About like listing the recommendations for, I don't want to maintain a list of plugins or projects in this document or in another document where I recommend to install something or not. Because like, how can I recommend, like recommendation is like, it cannot be like generic. It depends on the use case, like it depends on the user. Like, I cannot say like, I recommend you to install MintMaker, but there is a user that already uses Space for Snyk and Snyk does the dependency update for him. The recommendation doesn't fit in that case. And also will require maintenance of that list, which I think that we should avoid. Go ahead.
Like I agree with you with maybe like let's not maintain the list, at least for now. It can cause a lot of headache. And theoretically, like we can have a list just of the plugins And I saw it in other communities that when you have some sort of plugin, you can ask for a PR to be added to documentation. And I was trying to remember the fourth point and what the fourth point was. It was, and this is not necessarily connected to your proposal. It was just triggered by your proposal, is the question of when should we decide, when should we think about like if this plugin should be official and not official. And I will just say that, and I would leave this debate as its own separate debate. Just the context of it is that there is high chance that everybody who uses Konflux probably also wants to use MinMaker, for example. But not every Konflux cluster probably needs pulp integration. There is like this proposal for pulp operator. So your proposal triggered this debate, like, okay, should we define like when we should think about making the plugin official, just so we make sure that not everybody thinks that they need to create ADR that need to make this two governance group as the same as pulp is asking for right now. But that's its own debate. Maybe let's start with this debate later.
One thing that I can say about it, like it depends on the impact that we think that this add-on would have, like the amount of users that will be using it, and like it includes what we deploy, for example, for Reddit, right? Like eventually we use those plugins, so we need to remember also that like Reddit is using those, like it's a large amount of users. So,
like in case of pulp, I will just confess that I'm also like not yet decided like what I think, because I see like good arguments both ways. I'm sorry, Barak.
go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, we kind of put aside a little bit the thing about the qualifications for the add-on, and for me that's the important part. Like when I look at an add-on, I want to know, right, is that built hermetically, is that supported over time by a group of people, you know, is that alive, right? Just like you look at the code library and you look at like at the GitHub stars and the last commit just to know if it's alive or not. And again, for Konflux, you want some extra stuff beyond that. Like, again, is it built hermetically? Is it tested with the rest of Konflux? Is it governed by the ADR process? That's an important point, because there are certain guarantees that happen once you do use that process. So those are things I want to know, right? I don't care how we call it, certified, official, blue, silver, I don't care. But I do want some marker, that, some indicator that when I look at an add-on, I can know, right, this is a real live add-on, right, that meets all those properties, as opposed to, vaporware, a repo that somebody opened, put some code in, and then walked away. Or even is maintaining, but it's not being actively tested with the rest of the system and integrated, etc., etc. So yeah, I do again. So again, for me, the name is not important. What is important, I want a way to kind of check mark that this repo has all those properties, and maybe. So this kind of leads me to the thought that, all right, so maybe we don't need a name. Maybe we need a set of kind of, repo README tags, right? So you put the README hermetically built, ADR approved, I don't know, forget what the other properties, let's put tags in them. And then we need some process to kind of, ensure over time that those tags are relevant, but we can come up with something. And again, that kind of provides the same benefit, where you can look at that and know whether it meets up all the relevant criteria or not.
Thanks, Mark. Anyone else? Oh, stop showing my screen. Let's go back to the agenda. See if someone added something. No. Okay. So I think that we are done for today. Thanks everyone for joining, and thanks for the discussion, and see you next week. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.